All right, so at 6 o'clock, we're going to begin our October board meeting. So we're going to call it to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's follow that with a moment of silence, please. Amen. All right, Mr. Martin, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, welcome to the October board meeting. First on the agenda is our consent agenda. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? With that, I'd like to make the recommendation that the consent agenda, financial report, and board minutes of the regular board meeting held on September 12, 2022 be approved as submitted.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
All motion.
All right, Adam with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jessica with the second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Next, I would like to go out of order a little bit and pull down from business and finance. We have Mr. Neal from Harvest Bank. I believe we're all familiar with him. Talking about the possibility of us being able to use a treasury ladder. Since we got out of order, I need to get my packet out a little bit. And this all comes with, our interest rates across the country going up, and that's not good for a lot of reasons. But there are some instances where it can benefit our school district. And Mr. Neal came to us with the opportunity to invest through Harvest Bank to invest in U.S. Treasury bonds, to generate a little bit of additional revenue for our district. These bonds are fully insured and provide no financial risk to the district. With a Treasury ladder bond portfolio, we invest at different steps, like every 3 months, so that everything's not invested in one bond. We currently receive 0.1% interest on our account. Moving to this Treasury ladder investment will allow the district to take advantage of rates that are around 3% after we pay the charge from the bank for doing that. And we would only invest our reserve funds or our building fund in that, which will be around $2 million after tonight. And they can be accessed at any time. In your packet, there's kind of an overview of what that kind of looks like from Harvest Bank, from Mr. Gaffigan, not Aaron Gaffigan, but his brother. What it is you have the YTW, the yield to worst, and the coupon rate. So the interest rate is basically the yield to worst minus the coupon rate. So right now it'd be right above 3%, and this was about a week old. It'll be, when we do this, it'll be on the current market rate, so hopefully it'll be around 3%. Mr. Neal, do you have anything?
Just a small clarification. It's not treasury bonds, it's treasury bills.
Oh, sorry.
Because those are shorter terms, so that allows the school to get access to the funds. I don't want to say immediately 24 to 72 hours.
Is that depending on what it's invested in?
No, these are U.S. Treasury bills.
Okay.
So it's not out on the market or anything like
Okay.
that.
Is the interest rate set or does it fluctuate?
No, it's set at the time of closing. It can't go up, it can't go down.
Okay.
So if we continue to be in this rate environment now, keep in mind that this rate environment is kind of weird.
Right.
But it's pushing the short-term bills up higher than some of your long-term investments. For example, a treasury bond.
And are there any costs whenever having to cash in some of those bills or trying to pull
Now,
them out?
the cost is up front. It's a flat fee up front. And the total cost is it's $4,000. And that is what it costs to buy and sell these on the market.
And it's a one-time fee?
That's correct. It's set aside up front, and you get paid about 2.5% or 2.25% interest on that, because it's sitting in there. So you don't use it up. You use it over the course of the 12 or 18 months, depending
And are you recommending a time frame tonight? 12, 18 months, is that something that you recommend, or is that?
I talked to Ms. Brunel, and we would like to recommend a 12-month one, just so that it's not held for so long.
Okay. And then it would be reevaluated and next year after 12 months, and then decision made on what to do again?
Yes, ma'am, when they mature.
Okay,
Now, some of them will mature later than 12 months because you will not purchase all of them right now. Does that make sense? Okay.
And we don't currently have any construction bills or anything that's coming out right now that
No,
we're gonna be
ma'am.
using.
No, ma'am. And if we did, we would have access to the money within a day or two. And when we get invoiced for bills, they're usually a 30 or 45-day pay window.
I'd hate to break up, I try to say, we're going to pay this bill and break it up.
Yes,
and then-
ma'am.
so Ms. Brunel, will there be a line as far as like interest incurred or interest on the P and L going forward?
I can create something and put it in the board packets, letting you know how much interest we generate every month. if
That
you'd
would be
like.
great.
That'd be great, okay.
The interest that's earned, where would it just go into a general fund after, or what would it be used for? I
It
mean,
would-
it's
it
good,
would-
a good thing,
It
but,
would stay in the building fund itself.
Oh, okay.
For that fund itself.
gotcha.
And repeat again, this is about 3% versus what are we currently earning?
0.1.
0.1, okay. All right. Any further questions?
Is this a practice that a lot of school districts, I'm not familiar with this,
A lot of school districts are moving to this now.
Okay, is it kind of
because
a newer-
the availability of the interest rate that's there.
okay, gotcha.
And they're doing the same thing that we are. They're putting their reserve funds in.
It's hard for school districts, municipalities to earn a great return on their money because the bank has to set aside, for every dollar the school district puts in the bank has to set aside $1 because it's a public entity, so we can't invest that money, if you will, through loans or investments or whatever, so.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, Mr. Martin, I think we'd recommend, or entertain a
With
recommendation.
that, I'd like to make the recommendation to approve the transfer of reserve funds into a treasury letter portfolio with Harvest Bank.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
John with the motion. Do we have a second? I'll second that. All right, any further questions? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Up next, we had to have an
Mr. Neal, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you, sir. Up next, I made an addition to the board agenda. I forgot to place our second grade field trip to Exeter, Missouri on there. And any field trip or any school vehicle that crosses state line has to have school board approval. They are wanting to go on October the 28th to Exeter, Missouri. All school rules will be followed and everything. We're excited to let them go, if approved. And are there any questions?
I had a question. So why Exeter versus our own pumpkin patch here?
Ms. Bennett?
So this year, they kind of rotate whoever job it is to plan their field trips. And they've done McGar now for years and they love it. Our other two grades are going to McGar, but they wanted to, since they have done it for the last 2 years and kindergarten first, they just kind of wanted to give them a different experience this year and just try something new.
Okay.
It really is a great maze.
I've seen pictures online, it looks really awesome.
Nothing against our maze here, but it is kind of scary too, so.
All right, and all the parents have the opportunity to go if
Oh,
they want
yes,
to?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We're actually excited that, we're short on bus drivers and everything. This falls on a day that we know that we can get them bus there and back, so we're excited.
Yay,
to go.
okay, awesome, all right. Any other questions? All right,
Okay, with that, I'd like to make the recommendation to approve the second grade out-of-state field trip to Exeter, Missouri on October 28th, 2022.
all right.
Awesome, that.
So we, motion by Jessica. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Sarah with the second. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Yes, ma'am?
Just gonna say that make sure those kids have some extra money and water.
Okay, Up next, we have our student services report. Mr. Rainey?
Okay, food service has a September ending balance of $452,535.07. And so, as we state, almost monthly, we continue to have a really healthy balance. And Ms. Ferguson does a really good job of watching our finances and trying to keep our costs as minimal as we can. And so we appreciate her and the job that she's doing. You can see we're serving about 1,800 meals a day, that are divided up amongst breakfast and lunch and stuff. And so we're pleased that we're seeing students utilize our cafeteria and that sort of thing. We're back to paid meals and those things now. And so we're always concerned about how many meals are we providing daily and that sort of thing. But we're serving our students, which is a good deal. We have our October 1 initial numbers that we have sent to the state, and so they're going to be reviewed by the Department of Education and Child Nutrition. You can see as a district, we turned in with 31.7% for free and reduced lunch, which continues to fall. The 19-20 school year, we were at 38%. The 20-21 school year, we were at 35%. 21-22, 34%, and now 31.7%. So we continue to see our free and reduced numbers decrease, which is a trend that we've seen over the last 7 or 8 years with the houses that we continue to see going up and those other kinds of things. As new families move into our school district, they're not qualifying for free and reduced lunch. And so we'll see the impact that has on our Title I funding. Do we move from school-wide to targeted assistance and that sort of thing? And we'll work with the state on kind of where we fall. You also can see a breakdown by building on your report with the primary being the high at 36% and the high school being the low at 24%. And then all other schools kind of falling in between. And that's not unusual. It's much harder to get forms back at high school level, and so it's hard to kind of get all those turned back into it. So it's not unusual to see them being a little bit lower than the rest. But those are our numbers. They'll be reviewed and then they'll be finalized here over the next few weeks. We do have an update on transportation since this report was written. Talked with Midwest Sales out of Van Buren today. We have 2 buses that are in Van Buren. They're currently getting their lettering and they're getting their camera systems installed. We kind of have a target date, hopefully that they'll be on campus Friday, but we're not crossing our fingers. I would expect it to be delayed like everything else has been. But we did talk with them today. Our special education bus that we ordered a year ago has not arrived yet. It's still delayed because of specs and needs on it. So, and I asked ETA, and we don't have one, but we do have 2 out of the 3. So, hopefully, we will see it maybe in the next week or so. They're going to deliver it to us, and Marianne will go over and inspect the bus and make sure everything's accurate, and then we'll accept them and move on from there. But we are looking forward to getting those things. We're continuing with our ESG project. I think we've got a final walkthrough scheduled for next Tuesday. And so they're continuing to do some startups and some punch list items, and then we'll do our walkthrough with them and hopefully be able to wrap up and finalize that project. It's been forever, but we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and so hopefully soon it will be complete. We have had some error messages and things, and anytime we've turned those over immediately, and ESG and Milton, they've been on site and addressed them, and we'll continue to work through some of those things. We also have an update on our quad classroom. We received a release from the insurance company today. The cost to repair the quad classroom came in just over $113,000. And so we're reviewing the release. We'll go through it in detail to make sure that everything is correct and accurate. C.R. Crawford is also doing the same thing. And then if it's accurate and everything looks good, we'll get it signed and we'll get moving forward with finalizing renovations and timetables and all that stuff, so.
Do we have an estimate time as to how long it's gonna take to get the quad fixed once we get everything signed off on?
We don't yet.
Okay.
We don't yet. We'll hopefully get this signed off this week, and then we'll work with C.R. Crawford on when that's gonna take place.
So hopefully in November, we'll have an estimate.
Yes,
Hopefully,
ma'am.
hopefully. You know, originally, way back in August, we were hoping it'd be done by now.
Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
here we are, so.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
see.
waiting on Mr. Nye to review the document before I sign the release.
Absolutely.
That's kind of where I'm at. When he's good with it, I'll be good with it.
Okay.
Because when we sign that release, that's all the money that.
That they're
It's
responsible
no
for,
different
yeah.
than a car insurance. Once you make that claim, you sign the release, there's no more there, and I want to make sure that we're fully covered.
Okay. And then, Mr. Martin, you and I messaged, I got the privilege of helping over at the primary during homecoming, and one of the doors,
Sure.
this was right after we went to that training, so I was like messaging Mr. Did we get that fixed?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Yay. Just wanted to double check.
Absolutely.
Kevin, going back to food services, did we get the reimbursements from July and August from the state?
I believe we got July, and we're waiting on August. I think they're going to release August at the end of this week, I think is the email that we got. I'm trying to remember, email from Friday, and, but I believe it's coming in this week, and there was some holdup by, not our school district, but others,
Right.
because everybody in the state has to submit their stuff before they start releasing, so. And then today, we did a claim for about 40,000, that'll come in next month, so.
Okay.
We just continue working.
So right now, are we still benefiting the free, like the reimbursements? Are we, the 452,000, is this, when are we going to stop reaping those benefits?
As far as.
The reimbursements from the state for the summer? Because July, you said we just got.
We'll get August, and then we'll get September, but we get monthly reimbursements.
Right, but those
That's
are
what we
based
pay.
on our numbers that we did. So come November, is that when it's going to start, the state reimbursements going down? Because we're not going to get
We
reimbursed?
just moved from seamless summer to regular.
Okay,
The way it's
Regular
always been.
fees.
We've always had state reimbursement, free and reduced, and you get money on paid as well, but you get, with free, you get more money than on reduced, and of course, the state reimbursement is less for paid. And it's not uncommon for us to be 2 and 3 months behind on getting reimbursements from.
but we're going to see that drastically decrease
Yes,
because
ma'am.
not every, when will we see the drastic decrease in the amount of money?
Here are the next couple.
The next couple of months.
But you
So,
will also have revenue generated from family income.
Okay.
Where families pay.
so we don't anticipate there being any kind of a drop
There'll
off.
be some.
Okay.
Because you gotta remember, the food costs are continuing to rise with transportation and everything else, so that's what.
But that was considered in the food budget that was submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, we had I think it was over a 50% increase in food costs. We can only go up on paid lunch equity calculator. We only go up 10 cents a year on the cost for the, that we
charge.
each meal. And so the 10 cents did not offset the cost of the food increase, and we know that.
Okay.
We need to help our families out as.
No, I
as well.
agree.
And I think what you might be referring to, but the hold harmless period for our families.
Yes.
We're free and reduced, is come and gone, and so they're starting to receive those phone calls and letters and.
Okay.
Things that they're, it's either they've got to fill out a new form.
Okay.
Because the grace period's gone, or.
That's what I was referring to. Yes, I couldn't think of hold harmless. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We made that convenient for the parents to be able to pay accounts online without having to.
Hey, Jessica, you're going to have to speak up.
To do.
Oh, is it a convenience
I think
on
it's
the
plus
website?
online. Yes, ma'am.
Or- Okay. I
Yeah,
know.
If you go to the nutrition page, you can get.
Nutrition page.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Okay.
All right, up next, we have reports to the public, and Ms. Tabor is going to take care of that for us.
Stand up if you want. My voice is not projected very well. Each year around this time, we give our annual report to the public. This information is from the previous school year, though, so you'll see some data that looks a little old, and in some cases, I try to provide our current numbers when we have them, just to give you some perspective. Throughout the school year, we monitor our accreditation status with this dashboard, and we have to watch all 6 areas. By May, we have to be green in all of them. If And for each of the 6, there are about 15 to 16 indicators under each one that all relate back to some kind of state code that we have to meet. And so we finished the school year in all green, which is always down to the last day. It's everything from making sure our background checks for our new employees are clearing, to our teacher loads are not over 150, all of those kinds of things. In the 21-22 school year, we had 138 certified classroom teachers with an average years of experience of 8.33. The degree breakdown is there. That advanced degree is something like a specialist degree, so between a master's and a doctorate degree. And we had one teacher on an alternative licensing plan last year, which means that they were a licensed teacher, but teaching out of area, but we had a plan with the state that we were getting that teacher training to get certified in that area, which is pretty common, especially in our high need areas. And so we've been working with that teacher. We have 3 years in that position to do that. Our enrollment, and the years at the bottom are related to the ending school year. So where you see 2022 at the bottom, that's for the 21-22 school year. And these numbers are reported in October, so our cycle 2 report. So you can see how our enrollment has changed since 2018. I also included where we ended the school year last year, May 2022, we ended almost at 2,400. We started the school year September with 2,442, and as of today, we're at 2,456. Our enrollment changes every day, so it's hard to say exactly what it is on a consistent basis, but that just kind of shows you we ended the school year, in October of last year, we were at 2,321, and today we're at 2,456. So our enrollment by building, we included September and May for the last school year, so where we started and where we ended. And then in September of this school year, we also included the capacity for each building to show you we have room for growth in every building. With reconfiguration, we removed a grade level essentially from each building other than the primary. So we have the square footage we need for some growth. Our issue right now is just keeping up with the staffing. And then as the space is needed, sometimes reconfiguring the space and looking at it differently. But that shows you we have room for all of our students, square footage wise, for a while. Our virtual enrollment is something that we've been watching since 2020. And this shows you in October 2022, 475 of our students were learning virtually. This was our fall coming out of the closures of March 2020. In August, we hovered around 100 all summer until school started, and we jumped way up. So we had to monitor and adjust. By the end of that school year, we were down 100 students to 375. We stayed fairly consistent last year, but we had a shift from the elementary to the secondary level. So our students that were coming back on site from the elementary, we had some older students who were choosing to learn virtually. And then we see a pretty significant drop in enrollment this fall with 2 students in grades kindergarten through 6th grade. We have 1 3rd grader and 1 6th grader. And then 72 students at 7-12 for a total of 74 students. And so we've adjusted our staffing throughout that time. Our demographics are here, showing the breakdown of our students. 86.1% white. Our next largest subpopulation at 8.4% of our students are Hispanic. Our 5-year comparison, in these figures here, Ms. Purnell shared with us our per pupil expenditure in our last board meeting and how that has changed. In the last few years, it is not yet reported for the previous school year on our public site. All of this information that we're looking at tonight is publicly available on My School Info. Our school choice enrollment has increased from 156 in 2018 to 275 last year. We're a little bit over that this year. Our graduation rate is posted there. It's not yet reported for last year. And this is lagging data on the graduation rate. We have a 4-year cohort and a 5-year cohort. So that information is always a little bit behind. But you can see in 2022 we did have a drop, and some of that had to do with COVID. We for some of them in the next school year. Our English learners, our ESL program, our ESOL program, has stayed fairly consistent around 3%, but our change there is coming in the English language proficiency of our students. We're receiving more students who we consider to be newcomers or first time in public schools. And so our instruction and our supports are shifting for that. Special education has increased over the last few years. You know, we've talked to Dr. Bassett and Ms. Brunel over funding in our last meeting. Gifted and talented education is there, and it does look like we have decreased, and we have in some sense, but part of that is 6.03% for 2022. Our screening, we do it in second grade and fourth grade now, so that we can get students at 2 different places, and that's a universal screening. So all students in second grade, and then again, all students in fourth grade, trying to make sure that we're getting them early. And then each school year, our GT coordinator also looks at ACT Aspire results, looking for students that might have been missed or might have come to us after the universal screening. And we've also added a staff member to better serve our students at GT. So we have our staff member who works throughout the day in 5 buildings. And so we were able to add a half-time GT teacher this year to try to show more growth for our GT students, but also looking for more referrals and screening more students. Free reduced lunch is there. Mr. Amy just shared, we were at 33.78% last year, down to 31.7% this year. Our attendance, this is a little hard to read there. Our attendance is a little deceiving because the state reported attendance does not include quarantine and COVID-19. And so, because those students were learning remotely. So it's a little deceiving when we think about that. We know what we felt in the buildings. The dotted line is the state, and we are the red bar graph. And so 2022 is not yet reported. Some of that data, there's final certifications of it. We know that we saw more absences last year, but again, most of them were COVID-19 and quarantine. And so we're hoping to improve on that this school year. And now for student achievement. We worked really hard in the last 2 years with MAP growth to monitor our students' progress. MAP stands for Measures of Academic Performance, and we really are looking at growth over time for students. And so we give this assessment 3 times a year. We choose in Pea Ridge to do that from kindergarten through 10th grade so that we have student data and we can monitor that growth definitely over time, not just in a 1-year snapshot. And so this shows you the colors, if you track them, are cohorts. So if you see our, for example, our 2nd grade cohort in the fall of 2020, they came to us at 47, that's the achievement percentile. 37 is where they ended the year. That was our first full COVID year. And so when we talk about learning loss, that's what we're seeing. Students are not in school on a consistent basis, and we're struggling. And so that cohort, like many of the others, we saw some learning loss. And so last year, our teachers, our principals worked really hard, and we saw a lot of that learning loss regained. And so that same cohort, they came to us, and by the fall assessment, and that is in mid-September, we got them, we were at 55 in the achievement percentile. Again, a rough year at 51 percentile, but it was better than what they left that school year with. We saw some definite gains on that 6th grade cohort, going from 39 to 45, the 8th grade cohort going from 40 to 61. So we're looking here and making sure, are we achieving on a daily basis in the grade level content, but are we growing them as well? Our K2 student achievement, this is our state accountability assessment with MAP growth. This is showing you the previous school year, 2021 to 2022, and the gains that we made when it comes to the students meeting expected growth. So what you looked at before was achievement, where are they? But then much further did we get them? And so you can see by the red bar graph that in kindergarten 1st and 2nd, we definitely gained some ground with our students in reading.
No, I had a question.
Yep, sure.
So that is kindergarten would be kindergarten of 2021 versus kindergarten of 2022, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not
This is
kindergartner and
before.
first grade.
Right, this
Okay,
isn't cohort comparison.
just making sure.
No. This is for math. Definitely some distinct changes going on with math at all 3 grade levels. We went from 56% in kindergarten, meeting their expected growth, to 74%, 43 in second grade to 69%. I know Ms. Bennett can tell you they felt that hard work, but they did a great job. For grades 3 through 10, our state accountability assessment is the ACT Aspire. And so you see here our scores, the percent who are ready or exceeding in each of those areas. And this is 21 compared to the spring of 22. You're going to notice that we stayed fairly consistent. And that was through 2 years of a lot of quarantining and remote learning. And so we hovered right there. Reading, we did show some improvement, and in math, English, and science, we stayed around the same. But that math change from 43.57% to 47.65% was pretty significant for us across the district. This shows you what the state saw. And you'll notice that there is no 2020. That is the spring that the assessment was canceled because we were all at home. And so this kind of shows you what that did to our district scores, but also to the state. The state is the dotted line and the diamond. So in 2019, in reading, across the district, 43.15% of our students were ready or exceeding in reading. We did take a dip in 2021, but we got closer to our 2019 scores with 41.29 in spring of 22. And what I think is important to note is that we did gain more ground and get closer to our pre-COVID scores than what you see with the state average. Part of that is, we were able to stay open, all of our buildings. While we had a lot of students out, we were here. And so we were able to maintain some of that. In math, we actually went from 46.4% meeting the benchmark in math before COVID, and we managed to come and to exceed that in 2022 with 47.65% of our students. And this, I have to say, it shows the work of our teachers and the use of that guaranteed and viable curriculum. We're about 5 years into illustrative math, using that at every grade level. We're 6 and up. We added that K-5 piece as it became available. And so, just seeing that our students are experiencing multiple years of that, and the teachers are supported with those resources, we're seeing some growth there. For science, we're getting closer. We're not quite back to where we were in 2019 with 40% of our students, but we are gaining ground faster than the state average. And the same holds true in English, with 68.49% of our students ready or exceeding. In English, the scores are typically higher. That assessment, the questions are lower level than what you're going to see on the math or the reading assessment. And so typically scores are higher in those areas. This shows you ACT Aspire, the state comparison last year to our scores. We are the red bar, and the gray bar is the state. So you can see that we exceeded the state average in all of our assessments last school year. Our students in 11th grade take the ACT, and this is our state accountability measure for our 11th grade. This shows you pre-COVID 2019, the ACT we were not able to give in 2020. So we have 2021 and 2022 scores. You can see there was a dip in our scores coming back that first year from COVID. We have regained them, that ground, we're come close in each of our assessments. In reading, we went from 26% pre-COVID, and we are now at 33%. English is the same on ACT as it is at ACT Aspire. Typically, those scores are higher. Math, we're getting closer. And in science, we went from 23% pre-COVID and we're at 24%. This is not a cohort though, this is the 11th grade each of those years. This shows you our ACT student achievement as compared to the state last year. We exceeded the state average in reading. We met the state average in science, and we have some work to do in English and math. That is the last slide.
Will you go back to the cohort one?
Sure. Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Okay.
So every single grade, if you look like kindergarten, the only one that did not beat is kindergarten.
Correct.
Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Say that again?
The only one from fall of 2020 to spring, to fall of 2021, or spring of 2022, that line, I'm trying to make sure I'm looking at it right.
Yes, ma'am.
Kindergarten for fall was 94 and then 91, but then when they went to first grade for fall of 2021, they dropped to 81 and spring 84. So if I'm reading this correctly, every single one of our grade levels showed improvement except for kindergarten.
Well,
In math, yes.
In math,
But
yes.
when you look at that initial kindergarten test, we haven't had them yet.
No, I get it. I'm just
So-
making sure I'm reading. It's not a point,
Absolutely.
please, it's not a knock at any of our teachers. It's not a knock at kindergarten or first grade.
Oh, I didn't
I'm
think
trying to
that
make
way.
sure that I'm reading this correctly.
Sure.
And it was the first line, so it was the easiest to look at.
And that is at grade level expectation, so.
Okay.
We see some growth, we didn't backtrack on the grade level.
Okay.
Yes, that's true in math. We had one that stayed around the same, as far as maintaining their percentile, but on the next grade level.
Okay.
mark. So they grew just at the same rate as the grade level.
As the grade level. Okay,
Yeah, when I see this, I can't tell you how proud I am of our faculty and staff.
absolutely.
Over the past 2 to 3 years, yeah, we're on our 3rd year now since COVID. We have, in the work that they have done, the care for our kids, keeping our buildings open, coming to work, going through all the procedures, the contact tracing, and I need to thank our parents for that as well. The past few years they've been rough, but our faculty and staff, they have been here every day, coming up here. We implemented guaranteed and viable curriculums, wit and wisdom and literacy, illustrative or illustrated mathematics, whatever you want to call that, for math, implemented the PLC process, and we are now seeing the benefits of implementing that guaranteed and viable curriculum and the PLC process, and that's all due to the hard work of our principals, our teachers, and our central office staff, all working together to make sure that we're doing the very best for our kids.
Absolutely. Teamwork making the dream work.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see the resiliency because I think going into COVID, nobody knew how anyone would come out or if the kids would catch up. So to see the numbers, I think
Yeah,
is really, that's a good thing.
Keeping the buildings open last year, I felt it was so important. There were multiple days our faculty and staff did more than their job to ensure that we stayed open. We were a skeleton crew a lot of days, but we made sure that we were here for our kids. And the one thing that the pandemic has shown is that there is no better place for our kids to be inside the brick and mortar classrooms within our state and within our district, and we made sure that happened. And that is not the work of me, that's the work of all 300 and I think 6 of us right now, making sure that we're here for our kids.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure you pass that on to your teachers. Congratulations and thank them for all their hard work. This is tremendous numbers right here. Again, I want to point out and go public, I was not knocking kindergarten or grade. I was making sure I was reading this correctly.
Oh, no, I get into the different colors and then all this, I
Because
get
we
it.
went from cohort here to year over year, so I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly. So again, Ms. Bennett, please make sure that they know if there's any negative comments, it was not that. I love them. Okay.
I did want to ask, what was it for parents who maybe couldn't come tonight? What is the website if they want to go and
Sure.
look? I know you said it, but
It's called My School Info.
my school info. Okay.
If you literally Google My School Info Arkansas, it's the first
Okay.
address.
And then you
that
just
pops
click P Ridge and it'll.
But you
Okay.
can search by district or by school.
Okay.
Ms. Tabor, thank you very much. That was great.
up. Any other questions before we move on? All right, up next, well, you get a double dose of Ms. Tabor because she's going to take care of our grant update. And we are so excited about this. Ms. Markfield couldn't be here today. She's with her daughter, but we are excited about this.
The district recently, we were notified that we received 2 grants, and so we wanted to update you tonight on those. The first one being the American Rescue Plan Act Child Care Supply Building Grant. And Ms. Rosser and Ms. Ryan worked really hard on this grant, received an amount of $60,000 for our pre-K program to be spent this school year. And we're able to use that to do some renovations, to provide some classroom supplies, some curriculum, and also do some professional development for our staff, which is really important. And so that's from the Department of Human Services, and we should be, I'm sure they've started spending that already, Ms. Janelle?
Yes.
But they're really excited about that. This is the second year that they've received a grant to work on building up the pre-K program. The second grant is the Walton Family Foundation, the Home Region Grant, and this is our second Walton Family Grant. That's pretty substantial. This was in the amount of
441.
there we go, $441,000. And that is over 2 years. So in our first year, we'll receive $248,000, and in the second year, $193,000. The plans for this grant is we're focused on college and career readiness. And so they have already started with events. You probably saw the senior roundup. That was part of this grant, was promoting those monthly events for our students to make sure that all of them have access to college career resources. And so those outputs there will track the enrollment of our students going into college and their certifications that they leave us with so that we can better support and better provide those things. Really focused on making sure that all families have access to the information and to the support to get that done. We just had our FAFSA night that was really well attended. And we're also looking at increasing the number of our students who are in those career pathways and finishing with certifications. So we're really excited about that and the work that Ms. Jackson and Ms. Moorfeld have done on that grant.
So can that grant also be utilized for not just college, but the career part of it?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
for like the welding and all of
Yes,
that?
ma'am, the
Okay,
CTE stuff, absolutely.
okay,
It's, the one thing we did last year at the end of the year, we did the enrolled, enlisted, or employed. Well, it's about the kids who are, this is for the kids who are employed, whether it's through the healthcare pathway, through Ms. Young's, or
okay.
agriculture, whatever. It's to help them move forward and to improve those programs within our district. It's very exciting, the work that we're
Awesome.
doing.
Okay.
And the work that has gone into making sure that we're able to secure this funding. So it's amazing things for Pea Ridge School District.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
I had a question on that. So when
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Walton Foundation gives the money, do they just give it to the college and career and they determine which programs or like that they use it for, or how is it implemented that way? I was just curious.
So in submitting the grant proposal,
Uh-huh.
Ms. Jackson and Ms. Markfeld
Mhm.
are really the coordinators of that grant for the
Mhm.
district. And so they'll work closely with the Walton Foundation, but they also, the money is funneled through the district to make sure that the plan's cohesive. So it's not just given to individual programs, but to the
Gotcha.
district as a whole.
So it's kind of a team effort
It's-
together.
it's a holistic
Okay,
plan.
gotcha. Okay.
Anything else?
All right.
You know,
Thank you.
That happened a few weeks ago. It's a great week when you get $500,000 in grants.
I know, that's awesome.
It's a good week.
Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Up next, we've already done the treasury ladder. We have our retention and recruitment proposal for y'all to look at. In July or August of this year, Arkansas Legislative Committee, they put out the recommendation that we use ESSER funding to give bonuses for teachers and for classified staff. The recommendation was for $5,000 for licensed staff and $2,500 for classified staff. We did not receive enough funding to do that. I believe we were the 7th or 8th lowest funded per student district in the state. But what we are able to do, and this is matching a lot of what Northwest Arkansas is doing because we're all in that bottom tier, we're coming to bring you a recommendation to do a $2,000 bonus or incentive for our licensed employees and $1,000 for our classified employees. Our goal is to pay this out the week of
Thanksgiving.
yes, thank you. The week of Thanksgiving. I was going to say Christmas, and I knew that wasn't right. The week of Thanksgiving. Inflation has hit everyone. Everything's more money. I think this is a wonderful opportunity since we are now allowed to use this money for incentives for our employees to do this. It will cost around $630,000. In our ESSER 2 supplemental funds, we received $725,000, so it will take up the majority of that pot of money, but I can't think of a better way to spend that money than to help our faculty and staff out.
So just for clarification of what you're saying, most of the schools in the state will have the state pay the bonuses, but because we're in a different
No,
bracket?
ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. They made the recommendation that all school districts use their ESSER funds
Okay,
for
gotcha.
bonuses.
Uh-huh.
School districts received, it was a varying amount across the state based on your title allocation of how much you received. I believe our grand total of complete ESSER funds was around $583 a student, something for ARP funds, and there are quite a few districts that got the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a student. Those are two complete different numbers. So, while we did not receive the average of the state, we were far below that. I still think we should use this funding to help our faculty and staff out and provide this one-time incentive, recruitment and retention incentive for our staff.
So every school district didn't get the
Yes.
same amount, it was based on your
Right.
Title I.
Your income,
Yes.
yeah, so
enrollment.
it's because we have a wealthier district, really, is what this
Yes,
is.
based on where we reduced one.
I'm
Because
just
of
trying to
Northwest
use
Arkansas.
common language,
Yeah.
so people that maybe are
Right.
wanting to understand
Not on
can
assessed
understand.
value, but
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
reduced lunch
Yes.
percentage, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And that's
just
the
to
number that you're
clarify.
going down.
Right, yeah, just
That
to
means our Title I.
understand, because
Yeah.
sometimes when you're using all these like school terms,
Sure.
you're like, what does that really
I'm a
mean?
walking acronym. That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
But, I can't, we specifically did not budget the the ESSER 2 funds in case we were able to do this.
Mhm.
And this will give us the opportunity to help our faculty and staff out.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I just wish we could do more, is what
Yeah,
I'm
oh,
saying, not
oh,
do less.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And that, to do more, that is where everyone needs to contact their state legislators about the upcoming general session that will happen this spring.
Yeah, 'cause
And
I
we
feel
have.
like
Teacher
that.
salaries.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
We have.
Yes, where teacher
Yes.
salaries are supposed to be addressed.
Well, and that's what I was getting at, is that it should be equal based on teachers' need, not on the income base of families in the district. But that's a whole nother topic, we don't have to go there,
Yes,
I'm just
ma'am.
saying.
Yes, ma'am, and.
Yes.
I could go on and on, we don't have to
Yes.
talk about that, okay.
That's a different round.
Yeah, let's
We'll
a different,
save that
I'm
one
not
for a
trying to
different
get
one.
off topic, I'm just trying to get to what's going on exactly.
Right, so
got it.
your recommendation is what?
My recommendation is to approve a one-time incentive in the amount of $2,000 for each contracted licensed staff member and a one-time $1,000 incentive to all contracted classified staff members and custodians employed as of November 1, 2022.
One side question. So right now, the incentive was to be 5,000, but we don't have the coverage. Will we ever be able to cover that extra little bit or
No,
not?
ma'am,
Nothing
because there will be no
provided
more of
from
this
the-
funding coming.
Unless it comes from somewhere else, from people emailing the state, and they
But
decide.
even then, it would be more like a salary
It would be
increase
something different,
versus
yeah,
a
but
one-
not this,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am. What we've been told will be addressed in the legislative session is not a bonus.
Mhm.
It is, they will address teacher salary. And teacher salary is an ongoing
Debate.
increase in their pay.
Right.
Yes.
A bonus is a one-time event.
Right.
And while I'm ecstatic that we're able to do this one-time event, to truly help the teachers and staff in Arkansas, it's about a continuous increase in monthly income.
Gotcha. Okay.
But another thing to bill our banks on this or ESS or ESSER funding, is that gonna be reimbursed back to us from anything, or is that just, it's just basically it's being well spent? But I mean,
These funds are not in our accounts right now. We have to submit, Ms. Kaufman, DESI, not ADE, DESI, if they have approved this purchase, so we will, cut the checks, so to speak, and then they will reimburse us.
If you remember, when they first gave us ESSER funds, they gave us a list that said you could spend it on these things.
yes.
Then they came back and revised it when we got into the big debate down at the state level on teacher salaries and on those things.
To
And they
this.
said, no, now you can use ESSER funds for retention and recruitment. And so we had to submit our plan, saying we couldn't do what they wanted us to because we didn't receive enough money. And so they froze up everybody's funds, we submitted our plans, they approved our plans, and now we are able to give a portion. We just can't meet your recommendation because we don't have enough.
Exactly, but it's gonna be reimbursed eventually, it's gonna be reimbursed back to us?
So we'll spend the money,
Yes.
just like any federal funds, we have to spend the money first, and then the state will reimburse us.
Exactly, and so my question is, why can we not reuse the reimbursement as?
Because the reimbursement is paying us back for what so we're spending our current cash flow
Gotcha.
that we have, and then they'll give us the money. So ESSER money was never given to us up front. It's always been reimbursed.
And it's an allotted amount, it's already
It
earmarked.
zeroes out. It zeroes out. We spend it, they reimburse us, it zeroes out. It's not additional money that we're going to
Okay.
get, I think is what.
That's where I'm
It's
making
it's a
sure,
one-time
Yes.
money that comes to it.
just making sure. I was like, I just wanna make sure that we're doing it all.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to reread your recommendation?
One more, and transportation, they're added into that,
Ma'am?
transportation?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am. They are a full-time employee. Yes, ma'am. The state was gracious enough to move them back to full-time status 2 or 3 years ago so that we could provide full benefits. They were always entitled to, they used to be entitled to health insurance and retirement. Well, about 8, 10 years ago, it just went to retirement. And with the bus shortage a couple of years ago, they allowed us to consider them full-time employees for insurance purposes as well.
So what are we doing with those people who have stepped up and are driving buses for us? Are they getting both or they just get one?
They get one.
They get one, okay.
But we also compensate employees for dropping.
No, that's fine. I was just making sure that they're,
Yes,
see if
ma'am.
they were getting both or one. Okay, awesome. You want to reread your recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. My recommendation is to approve a one-time incentive in the amount of $2,000 for each contracted licensed staff member and a one-time $1,000 incentive to all contracted classified staff members and custodians employed as of November 1, 2022.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
All right, motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by John. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
All right, up next, we have transfer of funds to building fund. Every year we do this. Ms. Brunel, would you like to take this?
Sure.
Okay.
Every year, when we were originally talking about the budget, we talked about that we don't budget our student growth money because it's just an unknown at the time. And so, every year, we transfer some excess operating funds into our building fund to allow us to have that money set aside for any major construction projects in the future or any major issues that we might have that we need to take care of. So this year, we're gonna recommend, what did I recommend? 450, sorry, my numbers change frequently. This year, we're gonna recommend $450,000 to be transferred out of our operating fund into our building fund for future projects.
Yeah, and that is what we were talking about earlier with Mr. Neal. That money will be part of the treasury ladder, where we're able to earn a little bit more interest on it.
That was gonna be my question.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Reserve funds, it's code word for building fund.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, with that, I'd like to make the recommendation that we transfer $450,000 from operating to our building fund.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion.
Okay. I'll second.
All right, Sarah seconds. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Up next, we got to approve the purchase of floor scrubbers and air purifiers. This is, talking about ESSER funds. We were given a line item through our cooperative in Farmington for about $60,000, and it was very limited on what we could spend it on. What we're proposing is to buy 2 new floor scrubbers because they're expensive and we need them, and to also some air purifiers for a couple of our athletic offices and our locker rooms. Over the past couple of years, we've put dedicated fresh air systems into the middle school, and the primary already had them, where we are recycling the air within the classroom like at your home. You know, it goes into your return and comes out, and it just recycles the air. Well, our middle school, at our junior high and our intermediate school, that's what that HVAC project was to bring in a dedicated outdoor air source. These air purifiers will help clean the air in our locker rooms. And you'll have all been in a locker room that is not the nicest smelling, specifically right now, the boys' football locker room is not the best. So what it will do is it will help clean the air, cut down on bacteria in the air and things like that, and just make it a safer environment. And with that comes smelling better and everything. So we are able to, this is not paid with district funds. We will be reimbursed through the Arkansas Department of Health grant for the epidemiology and laboratory capacity for the reopening of the school for COVID-19 supplies.
You didn't remember that?
No, I don't. But, floor scrubbers are expensive. They're right at $17,695 a piece. That's expensive. And the air purifiers total will be about $20,000. We will also be what we're bringing to you is also through cooperative purchasing. I know a few of y'all are new to the board, and that is where we utilize state bids that they have already garnered for schools, municipalities, so that we're not having to go through the full bid process, and they do it for us. We do this, school buses, the computer bid in just a second is that as well, so we're able to have a larger buying power to get a better discount. Our past, I think 4 or 5 floor machines have came through Hilliard as well, so it will keep us with the same brand that we currently have, and we're Mr. Reeves and them, that it's easier for us to maintain the equipment when it's the same equipment, the same parts, the same. And so with that, are there any questions?
And Hilliard is the one that's recommended by the co-op, is that what you said?
No, they are part of cooperative purchasing.
Okay.
They're approved vendor through the TIPS TAPS program.
Okay.
And so this price is a bid price. It's for the whole state of Arkansas.
Okay.
We got a pretty extensive relationship with them, like the floor issues we've had. in high
Yes,
school.
yes, sir. We use a lot of their cleaning products, scrubbers, equipment, and everything. So, yes, sir. But in the past, when we have what I call hard bid, they've won the bid as well with that.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Okay.
With that, I'd like to make the recommendation that we approve the purchase of floor scrubbers and air purifiers through Hilliard in the amount of $62,594.09.
What's the 8 each for the battery? That's just a battery?
Yes, ma'am. Those are the batteries for the floor scrubbers themselves. You have to choose which battery pack that you put in there.
Okay, because I was trying to say, there's no cost out there, so we were just choosing which one we wanted.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that wasn't an error. Okay.
What we use is we use a sealed battery pack. It's safer. The battery acid can't leak out. You can even go down to the option where the only way I know to describe it, my dad's old trolling motor battery where you can like pop the things off and pour the water in them.
Right.
Yeah, not those.
Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't an error with no cost out there, so. All right,
Okay.
go ahead. Sorry. So we have the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
All right, motion by Adam. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, up next, we have approved purchase for CTE's startup grant, some laptops. We have been approved for a startup grant, and with that was also purchasing 25 computers. Again, this is not coming out of district funds, this is coming out of the CTE grant. We are using the same purchasing mentality of using cooperative purchasing through TIPS tabs to make that purchase. And are there any questions? It's basically 25 laptops, warranty, and everything. They're $975 a piece.
Who are the laptops for?
Our digital marketing and advanced graphic design programs each got CT startup grants
Mhm.
in the spring, and so these are our devices that go with those
Okay.
programs.
Yeah, and the devices meet the specs that the classes need to.
That was my next question.
to
Does
do-
it meet the
to do
requirements
their
that the class
program,
needs to do
Do
marketing?
their work.
Okay. All right.
Any questions? Okay, with that, I'd like to make the recommendation that we purchase from Bytespeed 25 not Chromebooks, laptops in the amount of $24,375.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Jessica with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam with the second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Up next is personnel.
All right, so it is 7:01, and we are going to go into closed session.